It's got nothing to do with how bright the lights are. Today, let's examine the 5 different kinds of dark matches. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. If you are passionate about the craft of professional wrestling, and you're never done learning all about it, then you've landed in the exact right place. Go ahead, join the Till We Make It tribe. Subscribe right now. There are 5 different kinds of dark matches, and we're going to break them all down in today's video. But to get this conversation rolling, I think we should just start by defining the term itself. So, what is a dark match? Believe it or not, the word dark in the term dark match dates all the way back to when pro wrestling was presented on a vaudeville stage. In fact, I made a video all about slang from vaudeville, carnival, and circus that made its way into professional wrestling over the decades. I'll link you to that one at the end of today's video. Nevertheless, a dark act back in the days of vaudeville was anything presented outside of the main show. Anything that was outside of the advertised bill was considered a dark act. Similarly, in pro wrestling, a dark match is anything presented outside of the bulk of the main show. Sometimes it is unadvertised, but not always, as we're going to talk about in just a bit. It is only presented for those people who are in attendance. It's for the crowd that is in the house to see the event. That's all. So even if every other match on the card is being taped, is being broadcast, or streamed out live, the dark match is only seen by the people in the house that night. And there are 5 different kinds of dark matches, which we're going to go over right now. Ready? A common function of a dark match that is positioned prior to the main card is to serve as a warm-up act. It's to get the audience ready for what is yet to come. It's to get people cheering and hands clapping and to get the crowd primed. This is not unlike if you went to see a band play, and prior to the featured act coming out, there was an opening act. They may not be out on the marquee, they may not be listed on your ticket. Why are they there? They're there to warm up the crowd, to ensure that the featured act doesn't walk out to a chilly reception from the crowd. That's exactly its function in pro wrestling as well. A dark match functioning as a warm-up is just there to make sure that when the featured players come out, the crowd is ready to react. Oh, and before this slips my mind, would you please leave a like-a-palooza on today's video? That kind of stuff really does help. Thanks for doing that. The second type of dark match we gotta cover is what I call the tech run. The tech run is becoming increasingly common in the age of live streaming. It's an unadvertised match that is sent to the ring prior to the main card so that all the audio, all the video, all of the graphics, all of the production bells and whistles can be tested out in a simulated live match environment without the pressure of actually being live. And a tech run dark match is pretty easy to spot, in my opinion. If 2 wrestlers are sent to the ring, and this match seems to be filled with lots of moments where they are locked in a hold and are remaining relatively still, chances are that's a tech run. They're staying still so that the production team has the opportunity to make all kinds of adjustments on the fly without having to compensate for wrestlers jumping, running, and flying all over the place. So if a new lighting effect might impact the hard cam position, this is a perfect place to try it out. Send a dark match to the ring to function as a tech run. Maybe all the software went through an upgrade since the last taping. Send a dark match to the ring as a tech run and make certain everything works flawlessly before you send it out for the world to see. Especially when partnering with a new service provider or a new production team, a tech run dark match is invaluable. This allows the people in the production truck, the people working at guerrilla position, to troubleshoot any elements they don't like before going live. And also lumped in with the tech run, I consider experimenting with new technologies as well. An example that dates back maybe 5 years or so, I remember seeing a relatively new technology at the time, which consisted of, I think, 6 cameras. 4 of them went on the 4 corner posts, and then 2 went out in the audience. And these very special cameras, which looked like droids from Star Wars, collectively were put together to create a 360-degree virtual reality environment of a live match. And WWE had tried this technology out to the point they were even willing to film part of one WrestleMania using this technology in the hope that it would take off. The company that developed this, they presented a demo to me, and I was stunned to see that you could actually move through this fully rendered virtual environment and look at things from any angle, because they had captured it all and rendered it into this special environment, which could be looked at through a web browser, but I think was optimized for something like an Oculus. Sending out a dark match to try out that new technology, well, I lump that under tech run as well. Sidebar. I'm not sure whatever happened to that technology, by the way. I know it had been tried out in a number of environments long before the WWE greenlit actually using it at WrestleMania. And if memory serves, they completely filmed the Asuka-Charlotte match at WrestleMania 34 and rendered it into this 360-degree VR environment. But whether or not that was ever shown to the public, I have no clue. If you know anything about this, please share it with me down below. I would love to know the rest of the story on that one. It probably won't shock you to learn that a common function of a dark match is to serve as an audition. Over the years, this has become so firmly lodged in the pro wrestling lexicon that AEW even uses the word dark in the name of their show, where they like to try out new talent all the time. These audition dark matches are typically short and sweet, and by their nature, feature usually at least one wrestler the audience is unfamiliar with. This is the kind of match that needs to come before the main card. Slotting an audition dark match after the main card sounds like a recipe for disaster. This next type of dark match is the first one that always comes at the end of the card. It's placed after the bulk of the main show, and the bait is there to keep the audience in their seats. This technique was used to perfection back in the 1980s by Jim Crockett Promotions. They would advertise a match with a lot of their featured stars, maybe mixed up in a way that the audience had never seen before. It was a veritable dream match at their local arena, but it would be the last thing to hit the ring. And this was bait. It kept them in their seats throughout a long, sometimes tedious television taping that was filled with enhancement or squash matches. These are non-competitive single-act matches that only enhance one wrestler. They're not especially exciting or competitive, but they were stock and trade of early pro wrestling cable television shows. You needed tons of enhancement matches to fill up your programming. Well, after watching 10, 15, 20 of those, most people probably start looking at their watches thinking, should we beat the traffic out of here? That's exactly why you have a dark match functioning as the bait after the bulk of the main card. They want to see all of the superstar wrestlers mixed up together in a match, and they will wait. They'll stay in their seats so that they don't miss that dark match. And this fifth type of dark match also comes after the bulk of the main card. It is sometimes referred to as the happy ending. Insert your own joke here. I have also heard it called, when it is unadvertised to the audience, the surprise. And basically, it is there to send the live crowd home happy. So let's say you're putting on a live broadcast in a market that you only visit once a year, and this particular show ends on a heel moment. That last match sees the villains on top, and this is a terrible place to leave the crowd if you're not coming back to see them for another calendar year. So instead, what do? You send out a dark match to make sure the crowd goes home happy, so that the last thing they see aren't the bad guys on top. You flip it around, you make sure that the baby faces go over. Oftentimes, this is filled with all the finishing moves, all the moves that have TV equity built up in them, so they feel like they're getting a greatest hits package. It puts the audience in a great mood. They see the baby faces prevail, and that's the actual last thing the audience sees, even though that won't be part of what's presented live or what shows up on TV or on the stream. That type of dark match is only there to close out the night on the right note and make sure the paying customers go home happy. I want to shout out my 3 newest patrons. So thank you, Stephen, Dan, and Nadeem. I'm well on my way to hitting my goal of 50 patrons by the end of this year, but I need a few more. Will you be next? Follow the link down below in the descriptus and join our community over on Patreon. You're going to unlock more than 400 exclusive posts to fill your brain with pro wrestling everything. Earlier on, I alluded to a video about wrestling slang from carnival, circuses, and vaudeville. That video is appearing on screen for you right now. And if you want to dive even deeper into the historical roots of professional wrestling dating back 150 years, grab my ebook, Pro Wrestling History, 6 Threads and 16 Decades, is available right now over on Amazon.com. Within just a click or two, it's going to be delivered right to your device.